What is up? Metal Gets Me High, episode 50. Got me and Ramon. We have a very special guest. We've got Garry Brents from
Hey.
Memorrhage, lots of other projects as well.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Super stoked to be here.
Thanks for coming
I,
on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can't like rave enough about your album because like it's the first thing I've heard that sounds like Slipknot without it being Slipknot.
Yeah.
And
Oh man.
and like the way I would describe it, like the way I described it to him and our other buddy when I showed them this album, I was like, if Slipknot still made music that sounded like this, like I would be a lot happier fan than I am now.
me. Hey, that's why I made the album.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I wanted to ask you because, like, what do you think about? I see you're a big Slipknot fan, and I've got the original 9 members tattooed on me, so I'm a little bit of a fan.
That's sick. Yeah.
What do you think about the end so far?
Man, okay, so I'll say
All
that
of our reaction.
I will say I still am disappointed, even though I've gone back and revisited it after a bit of a break. I was like, man, it's just not the same. I'm not vibing with it. And I get it. Guys are older. A lot of bands get older and change. I mean, that's natural. But it is what it is. As a fan, I'm not a fan of the album, unfortunately. Yeah.
I feel you because with every Slipknot, like I'm I don't think every album is an absolute awesome album, but every album has
something,
some tracks where it's like, oh, that's a freaking killer track.
Yeah.
I didn't get that out of this album.
I didn't either. It's unfortunate, but
I agree.
Yeah.
And I see like people always when I say that, like, you probably just don't like clean singing. It's like, well, actually one of my favorite Slipknot songs is a newer one with clean singing, which is Kill Pop. So like it's definitely not that.
Right. It has something about the new one. It I don't know, it didn't feel like it was firing on all cylinders. Like you didn't feel the sense of urgency of all the members. And in the songwriting, it felt like it was missing the edge that they were known for. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was really forced, and the way I've described it is like all the best Slipknot songs take a turn that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And I felt like every song I was like, I know exactly where this is gonna go, and they're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. It is what it is. Sadly, yeah. I know there's people out there who did like it, but I mean, more power to them. But unfortunately, it didn't grab me.
I try to go by it. There's no such thing as bad. There's just not for you. So that's how I try to look at it.
Different perspectives on everything. Yeah, art different on music, movies, games, all kinds of art stuff. Yeah.
So with this project,
100%.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. No, you're good. You're good. I'm just smoking a joint.
I was gonna ask you, Garry. So you mentioned like because Slipknot's not making the music that you want, you kind of took it upon yourself. How did that process go, and like how did Memorrhage LP come to be?
Yeah. So I guess like it's kind of a whirling list of things that led me here. So like kind of basically about a year ago, I'll kind of start with like a point A of this like nostalgia that's been like swirling. I watched that Woodstock '99 documentary on Netflix last summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is like reviving my childhood feelings on these bands, like Korn especially. Like Korn was my first favorite band growing up, and like just seeing like the because like I wasn't able to go to Woodstock '99. I was aware of it back then. I was like 11, 12, but obviously couldn't go to something like that young.
Sure.
But like watching it as an adult, or watching that documentary as an adult, I was like, this is crazy, man. Like I need to like tap into this feeling that I never got back then. And so I went on like a super deep dive, revisiting old, the original new metal wave of albums and bands, Korn and like Slipknot self-titled especially, Static X, like, you know, just a lot of stuff from that era.
Yeah.
And so that was just all swirling in my head for a few months, and then then I saw that the new Slipknot album, and I was like, oh shit, this is kind of good timing where my headspace is at. I was like, I'll check it out, and like we talked about, a little disappointed, and so a little bit after that, I come across that account that I'm sure everyone knows, Crazy Ass Moments and New Metal History on Twitter and Instagram. Awesome account, great for just the nostalgia and the stuff that he's posting with keeping up with current acts. Like I've been thankful that he's posted some of my stuff on there, Memorrhage on there lately. But seeing that, just coupled with the nostalgia that's building up, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna make a new metal project, an album, and I first started with the song "Memory Leak" as like a standalone song, just a single, last November, and then I just published it, and I sent it to the guy Kirk who runs the Crazy Ass account. And I was like, I kind of gave him a bit of a backstory. I was like, hey man, new metal was like my first genre I fell in love with as a kid, and I'm getting super super back into it. Would be cool if you'd be into posting it. If you're into it, it's got a bit of a Slipknot vibe, a little bit of a Mudvayne bass vibe, stuff like that. And he was like, email me the track, I'll post it tomorrow. And he did, and I was like, holy shit, okay, we're in.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so that Crazy Ass Moment was like, okay, this is going to be an album now. So that literally the next couple days, for up until through December, I crafted the whole album, just nonstop. Any free time I could get, Memorrhage. That was my mind was on. So and with that said, Slipknot Self-Titled was the album that I referenced a lot, like sonically and like vocal delivery, a lot of little things, snare tone. I even used like Joey Jordison's snare samples blended in on the album. So
that's so sick.
It's imprinted.
That's awesome.
So that's in a decent sized nutshell, that's the start of how it came to be.
And I could feel your passion with this project, like through it, and even like seeing that you're like already working on number 2. Like
I am.
It's just like it gets me excited because I'm 27, so like that was the metal that first grabbed me, where like Slipknot, Korn, Mudvayne, because this is the stuff that's coming on my terrestrial rock station in the the local area. So I'm at the gym and I'm like, there's a Slipknot riff, there's Korn riff, okay, like, oh, Deftones, all right,
yep,
there's a little Berber ding from fucking
definitely,
you know what I'm talking about.
Gotta throw those in that vibe in there.
No, that's awesome. I have a quick question now with the album. I love the industrial feel of it, like that late 90s early 2000s kind of like industrial. Now, did you sample anything, or did you make those beats and like that? And I don't know what to call it.
That's a great question. Thinking back now on my processes, it's a mixed bag. Some of it is sampled from just old sample libraries that I've had for years that I've never had a reason to use, and so I was just like digging through and I'm like, oh, these are some sick beats. I'm gonna like speed them up or like match them to the tempo of like what the riffing, what's going on in the song. And then like kind of mangle them, distort them, process them differently. And then on the other hand, there are some moments where I just created the beats from scratch and kind of had to like match the vibe of the sampled beats. So because a bit uniform.
It matched so well, like you were saying, like the vibe of it all went together really. None of it was forced or anything. It all felt like really organic, and I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, thank you. It was I'll say the most fun I've ever had making music, like not all 100%.
Okay. And I hope, like, because music comes in cycles, so
it does.
I hope that your art could maybe, you know, kickstart some newer new metal wave, because like
Yeah,
there's got to be, you know, there's people who love new metal, and like
right.
nobody makes it anymore.
I know, and it's interesting that you say that because like I feel like yeah, there could be a new wave maybe in the next year, like, or a couple of years, like taking notes and being inspired, because that's just like a huge like honor to me if someone were to listen to something that I've made and then they go on and create something that's you know, totally their own, but you know, within the sphere of new metal or whatever. Yeah, it would be cool to see.
I mean,
Yeah,
really,
hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
the only neat band I would say is like has new metal elements, but still isn't new metal, would be a band like Vane FM. When
Yeah.
Airzone, it was like, okay, there's some new metal, but it's still very much hardcore.
Right,
Whereas,
and I love them. Like, and they were actually kind of a bit of a modern day influence for Memorrhage. Like, I kind of took notes of, like, because I've been fan of the Error Zone album, you know, since it came out.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
and that
great
well,
album.
it's an amazing album. Yeah, one of my favorites. And I took some notes from that where I was like, okay, yeah, they're doing some of the new metal bounce riffs here and there, and some of the DJ elements a little bit, but fused with the hardcore intensity that they're known or became known for. So I was like, you know, I want to kind of tap into a little bit of that too, just to kind of have some of the modern edge to it mixed with the nostalgia. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I see like some of your other projects, you know, like you got like Cyberground, so you definitely like,
Yeah.
it seems like you like a wide variety of music. But how did you get
Yeah.
into heavy music in particular?
Like making heavy music or
Yeah.
just yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think back. Probably, let's see. I think like the very first thing or things that I was like tapping into when like wanting to make heavy music was maybe in like 2004 ish. And it was actually a black metal project.
Okay.
Um, Me and some friends in high school, we were super getting into that. Um, to be honest, that was kind of our post new metal phase. We were getting out of new metal. Like, I'll admit that I got out of it
Yeah.
back then. You know, a lot of people did. Um, and we got into like black metal and death metal and stuff. And so I think it was just like um my discovery of like bands like Cradle of Filth and like Dimmu Borgir, Dark Throne, Emperor during that time got me wanting to play guitar. Now I had learned bass already like before that, but I didn't necessarily write music or think to write music with bass. But then when I picked up guitar, I was like, okay, I think I can like kind of formulate some of the stuff based on like or based on inspirations of what I was hearing and like the black metal I was getting into and death metal I was getting into. Um, so yeah, it was just like a combination of that era. And I guess like also 2003, 4, 5 ish stuff that was coming out or getting popular, like Lamb of God, Killswitch Engage, like the melodic kind of metalcore stuff. That had a bit of an imprint on me too. I don't think it like necessarily uh showed itself in my music, but I always like dug that stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good old American metal.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
for sure.
only way to put it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that metalcore type music was just so big at the time, where you know,
Yeah.
like it I could see, you know, we're a little bit younger, so
Yeah.
we caught the tail end of that. I feel like with, you know, like the Avenged Sevenfold,
Right. Yeah.
like that's the part that we caught. But you know, it would be hard not to be into that music
Right.
in that time frame, because that's
It got
the
so
biggest
big.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was almost like that's what took over new metal in terms of popularity and like what was being pushed in aggressive music and heavy music. Yeah. Which, you know, I mean that's just kind of what happens with the cycles of music. But yeah.
Did you by any chance get to experience an Ozfest?
Man, I never did, and I wish
Okay.
that I did. I should have. I was of that time. My friends all did. For some reason, I never got to go. Because like, you know, during the summer, I would go visit like family. Originally from California, so I'd go
Okay.
like fly back out to like LA and like be with my cousins and stuff. And so the timing just never lined up. Unfortunately, I wish I went to one or a couple.
Oh, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
like the like looking back hindsight's like, dude,
Yeah.
imagine seeing Slipknot open the freaking
Yeah.
parking lot stage. Like
Insane.
It's so ridiculous.
I love watching
everything.
the footage.
I'm with
Yeah.
you 'cause,
Yeah.
like I feel like on YouTube that was, like the Woodstock stuff, that was some of like the first videos that I'm watching where I'm like,
Oh hell yeah,
seeing people freaking surf on the plywood. I'm like,
it's
dude,
crazy.
that's
They were
the
going
craziest
nuts.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just a crazy people, just a sea of people as far as you can see. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean it's just like massive. It's crazy the kinds of shows like that would happen on like just those kinds of festivals like every summer or every year.
That's back when these bands are selling CDs, you know, so there's
Right.
a lot of money out there back then.
Yeah, it's crazy how that changed too. Like it's just the music industry has changed like quite a bit.
So
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
I was just saying, it does suck that there's not as much money in it, but it's so cool how accessible it is now.
That's true.
Like, because there's a lot of like some of my favorite bands today that they have like 200 followers on fucking Spotify, like monthly listeners, and I'm like, how is nobody listening to this? But
I see that too. Yeah. But it's cool to see that because that means the underground is thriving and that they're still going no matter the few listeners that they have because they love the music that they're making. So they're keeping on
that's
going.
What I love how accessible it is,
Yeah.
Super accessible.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, the more people who like add to this heavy music collective consciousness or whatever, like the better things are gonna get, because it's crazy. Like when you think hindsight, like bands like Slayer, Metallica, all these bands are like late teens, early 20s releasing some of the most like groundbreaking music. And then like you go on YouTube and you see these kids who are like 12, 13 years old playing, the craziest tech death on guitar or drumming like crazy. So it's like,
oh yeah,
who's to know where like heavy music could be,
where it will go. Yeah.
Well, we had Wretched Inferno on the podcast and they were 16.
No, Piss Rot. Sorry.
Piss Rot. We had Piss Rot. They're 16 years old.
I heard them.
They had just got out of school when we did a podcast with them. It was crazy.
That's badass. I gotta check them out. Are they death metal?
Yeah, they're death metal.
Great.
They're
sick.
in Tennessee. They've been a band since they're 12 and they're 16 now.
Damn, they got 4 years under their belt. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not even 18 yet. They can't even go out yet.
Damn. I'm sure they'll keep it going.
Yeah, and I just picked up a guitar, so I was like, pump the kid up. I'm like, dude, like, me seeing you as someone who's only been playing for like 6 or 7 months, I'm like, dude, like, you're killing it. Like, keep going.
For real.
Like, I know that shit's hard.
Especially if you start early. Like, if especially if you love it, like, just keep going with it. Ride the wave.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
100%.
So, like, you mentioned you've been in bands since like 2003, 2004. Like, how has your I guess music career, so to speak, been as far as that? Like, have you ever done like the touring thing, or have you always just kind of released projects and stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh, great question. I have gone on a couple, actually, one tour. Tour with a band that I was playing bass in called Wild Speaker. They were like, actually they're still around, but this was in 2016 to 2017 was my duration in the band. And they were like a really cool, like blackened, crusty, hardcore, kind of grindy a little bit, but more on that like the crusty hardcore stuff with a blackened element to it. And we went on a East Coast tour, Southeast Coast, I guess. Well, the furthest north we went was North Carolina, I believe.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, have played like a few one-off like shows with like other bands throughout this span of years. But mostly, it's been like studio projects. I think this is kind of like where my brain is at in terms of like I see myself more as a producer than a like performer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess this is kind of like how I developed creating music, was just like hunkering down at my computer and writing, and like that just like really got instilled in me to where that's like my favorite thing to do. Not that like I enjoyed playing live for sure. But like producing and like writing, recording music is definitely my wheelhouse. Yeah, my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hell yeah, that's awesome.
Well done. I mean, because you self-released, self-did everything on this album, right?
Yeah, and pretty much from start to finish, just like seeing it all the way through. I got like really like probably the most perfectionist on this album than anything else I've done before, just because I kind of had the laser focus, like the Slipknot self-titled on my mind. I was like, man, I gotta channel that vibe so good that like no one can refute it. Like when they hear it, they'll be like, oh, this dude is inspired by Slipknot self-titled, like early Slipknot. Yeah.
That's awesome. How long front to back, like from start to finish, did it take to like from recording or inception of it to releasing it, like the release date? How long was that process?
Okay, let's see. So
sorry, there's people blowing off bombs for 4th of July.
Man, there's fireworks. Yeah, I here too, everywhere. I would say so. Technically, late November was the inception because of technically writing the first song, Memory Leak, and then like a couple days later, I'm like, okay, this is an album. Through I guess this March, so those few months there.
Okay.
Was like absolute, like from inception to fully mastered. Yeah.
How hard is it picking the day, like or like being like, okay, I'm releasing this? Like, how hard is that to actually send it off in the world?
It's hard.
It's tough, yeah. I'm assuming
it's tough.
You're like, wait, let me just do this really quick before I take it out.
And I'm a bit of like I said, kind of a perfectionist with stuff. Whenever I'm working on any given album, I listen to it a lot, like in its various stages. Like there's no vocals yet, but it's all the instruments. So I'm like, okay, cool. I need to come up with vocal patterns. They're gonna go like this, and this, and then I record those. Then I listen back. The next day I'm like, I could do that a bit better. Go back to the drawing board. So there's a lot of that in this process, and it is hard. Yeah, it's hard to say yes, like I'm done. But with this one, I think I was way better about commitment, like committing to like, yep, no more editing.
This is it. Everybody stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Was it difficult finding that Corey Taylor voice? Because he's got a very unique range, and you do a good job of matching that.
Thank you. Man, it was tough because I had never done that particular range and aggression of vocals in any of my other music, like ever. Like I've done like death metal vocals a lot, and my death metal vocals are kind of in that range, like the mid range kind of range. But they're different. They're still death metal. So like with his kind of vocal delivery, it's like you got to channel. Well, first of all, anger, a bit of rage, and like kind of that bark, like in the throat and like in the lung power. The lung power was like a crazy feeling because I'm like recording the vocals, and I'm like trying to like I record a line or whatever, stop, hit playback, and I'm like, it's not it. And so I would do that a lot until I hit play and I like surprised myself and I was like, oh shit. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. And I had to like, I had to remember it. I had to like, okay, how did I do that? And I would like practice it during the day, just like while I'm working, like not even recording. I'm just like doing vocals at home. And so that whenever I would record like the next song or whatever down the line, I could hit the texture that I wanted. Yeah. So it was tough, but yeah.
I've got a strange request for the next one. Is Corey does this thing where it's like a, every vocalist has like a certain thing, like certain guys have a black. He does this like kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I know you could do it.
Yeah.
You got to incorporate that one.
I'm gonna write some notes down, and we're gonna get that on the next one. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. Like every time, because that's a band that I've seen a lot live, and like for what it's worth, I'm one of those people. I don't think that they should retire by any stretch, because I saw them last year and they sound as good as they've ever sounded. So like,
damn, that's impressive.
And the person I was most impressed with was Corey, because I've seen some times where Corey, like it's what he does is hard. So I'm sure it's not. There's some nights where you're not going to be 100%. That was the best time I've ever seen Corey, was this most recent time. So I'm not one of those hang it up people.
That's a testament to his longevity. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, especially he's done damage to those folks. So
yeah.
As far as like with this album, like what kind of guitar do you use, and like do you use amps, or do you just go all computer?
Yeah. So with this, I used the guitar that I use is a Fernandez FR55. And it's from, I think it's like 1986, I believe is the make. And but I got different pickups installed in the bridge. What is it called? Bare knuckle aftermath. They're really good for chugging, like precisely without being too noisy. And that's what I wanted. Especially for this. But yeah, as far as the amps go, I do use a Kemper.
Nice. Okay.
And man, I love that thing. I've been using it pretty much on all my projects since I think summer of like 2016. So it's been several years now. And I'll even get into like a bit of the nitty gritty of the Memorrhage guitar sound. So like everything obviously double tracked. And the main guitar left and right is a profile that's modeled after the In Flames Clayman album guitar sound.
That's funny you say that, because I heard In Flames, but like it just doesn't seem like a very like, it doesn't seem to connect as much. But I'm like, man, there's some In Flames in here, so I'm so glad
you actually told we were listening to that. Didn't you tell me that at work?
I told you. Yeah, I was like,
you told me that at work.
There's
That's so crazy.
And I would say, like, aside from the guitar tone, there is a bit of an In Flames influence, like in Memorrhage, because like they're also kind of one of those bands during that time I was talking about, like, getting into them, along with like the other, like, the metalcore and stuff like that, in the early 2000s. So like, but the Clayman guitar sound has always been one of my favorite productions, like overall, and the guitar sound. And the producer who produced that album makes his own like third-party Kemper profiles, and he literally has a pack that has like a bunch of different emulations of albums he's produced, and Clayman's one of them. And I was like, I have to buy this pack. And as soon as I like was testing out tones for Memorrhage, that's the one I landed on, and I was like, oh shit, this tone is too good. Like I can't even try anything else because it's so good. With that said, all the like choruses and some of like the heavier chuggy bridge moments, there's a third and fourth guitar overdub where that's man, what is it? It's a profile that's from Kurt Ballou of Converge. And the amp sound of that is like an Ampeg going through an Ampeg. So it's like really bassy. So I wanted that to kind of just layer underneath the Clayman sound during choruses and certain heavier sections.
Yeah. That great choice.
You nailed
Kurt Ballou too, because I mean it's well known Kurt Ballou's one of the best producers in the game. So
I would say he's like kind of like a hero, like I mean, from a guitarist standpoint, musician standpoint, producers, everything. Like, he's just awesome. Yeah.
I watched one of like a YouTube video of him where like
Oh yeah.
he talked about basically how one of his favorite things to do with guitar is to like to try to make something, use a piece of gear that isn't known for making heavy music and try to make
Yes.
it
And sound
heavy.
nasty. Yeah.
And I was like, man, that is like such a cool thing to think, because like, you know, nowadays it's so easy, like, hey, like get a freaking uh a Mesa and a
Right. The Mesa.
5150,
Right.
you know, like
The
there's,
staples. Yeah.
yeah, they're staples, obviously they're great, but like
Yeah.
it's cool hearing someone's like, I'm gonna take the challenge of finding tone for this thing that people don't even know exists.
Yeah. No, I love that approach. And it's funny, like, uh, a lot of my stuff before Memorrhage, I took that approach from his mindset to heart, where I purposely went out of my way to use gear and sounds that were just not used in typical metal or hardcore, and try to make them sound good. Yeah.
That's super cool to hear. uh you know, I've seen like a lot of articles about your album. What's it been like, you know, putting this out and then, you know, really seeing it pop? Because when I first listened to it, I think on Spotify, your
Oh
monthly
yeah.
listener count was 891 when I got my first listen, and
Oh shit.
now you're
Okay.
over a 4,000 in 2 weeks.
That's
That's
crazy.
insane.
Oh yeah. Man. It has kind of left me speechless, but also grateful, because it's just like it it's a lot of hard work that went into the album. It's a labor of love, and to see like so many different kinds of perspectives and responses to it, like younger people, people my age, people old, like even like way older than me, like a lot of different generations, and people of different walks of metal life will enjoy it. And that's like been my favorite thing, is just to see the variety of the response, to see this thing that like they can grab something from it and enjoy it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it, like I said, it makes sense because you've just filled a lane that's been so neglected for so long, but done in
Yeah.
a way that's extremely tasteful.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
as far as like you with music, are you somebody who listens to a lot of new music, or do you kind of go mostly back to what you know you love?
So I guess in the past year, it's been the latter, where it's definitely been a nostalgic dive and rediscovery. With that said, every week I always do try to listen to something new, just to stay on my toes and keep up with what's going on in heavy music, or even outside of heavy music. So yeah, it's kind of it's been a mix of both, more on the nostalgic end lately, but I always try to stay up with new bands and new albums from older and new bands.
Okay. As far as with this album, what were some like influences, maybe like outside of heavy music that you trickled into this?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say like, so like a lot of my approach to all the like kind of glitchy sounding stuff, and like some of the electronics, um this hip hop artist from the 90s, DJ Shadow. He's made a lot of like really cool albums, and his first album, pretty sure it's his first album. It's his first like big album, called End Introducing. I think it
Okay.
was in like 90, sometime in the late 90s. I forget the year. Um, but that entire album is all made with samples, if I remember correctly. But it's amazing, and it's like instrumental hip hop. But it's so ahead of its time, because it gets really glitchy, and hip hop didn't really have like glitchy elements in the late 90s. So like that always stuck with me like over the years, and I kind of wanted to dig into that headspace when I was coming up with like a lot of the little sound design and effects on the Memorrhage album. And then like further down that line, the project Aphex Twin, where he does like pretty much purely glitchy electronic music.
Okay.
That's a big influence, I would say too. Yeah.
That's cool. That makes sense. Hearing that, and even then, like that's a big part of the new metal. So that's cool to hear that you found things outside that maybe people wouldn't know off the top of their head.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last song on the album, it's
X-Sprite.
X-Sprite. Yeah. It's got that really like hip hop vibe to it, and then it like slows down. Yeah. When I heard that, I was like, this is a perfect way to like sign off of an album.
End it.
This is a good cherry on top.
Thank you. And man, that was actually one of my toughest decisions with sequencing the album. So I'll say that 90% of the albums, the track listing is the order of which I wrote and recorded the songs, like almost. But X-Sprite was actually one of the earliest ones I recorded, and I was like, man, this just doesn't sit right as in the middle. Like this is it's like heavy and like kind of down tempo, a little slower. And I was like, nah, this has to be the closer. So I was like kind of keeping that in my back pocket as I was writing the rest of the album, and I was like, okay, yeah, X-Sprite is gonna be put the stamp on the end of the album for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's like I said, you did that perfectly because it closes out like so well. It like
Thanks.
It's really heavy, but it is more slow. It's like a lot slower. I was like, yeah, this is perfect right here.
Hell yeah.
With Memorrhage, somewhere down the line, is this a project that you would like to, maybe play a one-off here and there?
I think I would. Yeah. I get there's definitely certain factors that go into making it happen. So like I work from home, and my work schedule can get like super erratic to where it's almost kind of like I'm on call. Like it's really flexible, which helps me make music a lot.
Yeah.
But then there's times where it's just like I'm like summoned to do something.
Yeah.
So like I work for an online company and stuff, and I do like a lot of behind the scenes stuff for like a website. Okay. But with that said, yeah, it's a bit tough for me to like field a live lineup. However, I'm not gonna like shut the door on it if it can materialize, because I have a couple like local buddies, one who's a drummer. That's like the biggest obstacle. And he's a really good drummer. He hasn't like played in like heavy bands in a while. He just had like a kid, but he told me, he's like, dude, you're onto something with this Memorrhage. And I was like, thanks. He's like, if you need a drummer and you need to make it happen, count me in. And I was like, okay, I got you down. So we'll see. Yeah. It's
obviously, this album just came out, so there's a lot of time for it to grow on people, and you've got the next one coming up. So hey,
am I back?
You're good.
I was gone for a second.
Oh shoot. Okay, yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. Continue.
All good.
No, you're good. As far as like playing live, in your experiences, what was it like for you to experience people reacting to your like art you're creating but in person?
No, it was really cool. Like especially when I was in the band Wild Speaker, I didn't write like a whole lot of the material, but I wrote like all the bass lines, obviously. But like they composed the songs, and I came up with like the bass to try to spice it up a bit. And so it was cool like seeing the kind of the connection with the crowd, like vibing to have like heavy ass parts that are happening. Like that was probably my favorite thing to see, especially in like house shows, which I haven't been to one in a while, but back when I was playing in that band, we played a lot of house shows, and it was just intense. Just having these loud ass amps, in a small home, filling up the walls and ceiling.
In an 8x8 room and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's like nowhere to go, nowhere to move, so you kind of just impose your will. You're move into the ground.
Trying to
Yeah. So I would say like that's my favorite live scenario are house shows.
Okay.
To be honest, I somehow got nervous with like the bigger like stages where you're like 10 feet up tall, you know, or whatever. But you know, they were still fun.
It's
But
weird being above people. I know
Yeah,
what you
I think
mean.
that was it.
Being above people is a weird feeling.
I don't
Eye
like looking
level's a
down on
lot
people.
Yeah, dude, it's a
Yeah.
weird feeling being on a stage that's raised. I feel you.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I get it, you know, the clubs have that, you know, like for visuals for performance related
Yeah.
things and like acoustics and all that, you know, all the things that factor into having a stage. But yeah, I'd always feel like kind of weird. I had to like kind of warm up into, you know, a few minutes into a song whenever I was on a stage to like really get into it. But like house shows, I'm just like immediately like we're all feral. We're just going into it hard. Yeah.
If there's a stage, I don't want it more than 2-3 feet high.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. For sure.
Are you a show goer? And if so, what's the last shows that you caught as far as live music goes?
Yeah. Lately I haven't been able to just due to work, but
Yeah.
I did go to I went to see Fear Factory and Static X a few months ago, or well, like
Sick.
February, and that it was very good. It was amazing. It was packed, which was expected. Actually, I think it was sold out.
Some good
But that was
inspiration
amazing.
for the album.
It was actually, yeah, because I was still in the process, like it wasn't fully done yet.
Finalizing it and that.
Yeah, just being connected to like seeing Static X and Fear Factory, which are influences on me on Memorrhage. It was cool to kind of have that connective tissue, seeing them. But yeah, I do want to go out to some more shows here in the future.
They're always, you know, they're fun, especially nowadays. Like bands are hitting the road so frequently, and
That's true.
We are like, unfortunately, we're about an hour and a half away from shows in general. So
oh damn, okay,
we're like one a month.
Okay,
but
that's pretty good though. That's solid.
But it's like sometimes picking that one is like,
ooh,
oh man,
that's tough.
How are we gonna miss this band? Or are we gonna miss this band? And the band that I've missed like 3 years in a row, and I need to fix it, is Carcass. Like I keep freaking missing out on them.
I missed the last 2 times they came, but I did see them a little while back in 2014.
Okay.
Right
Surgical
after
Steel.
Surgical Steel. So that was like fresh. That was an awesome. It was an awesome show. You would definitely love it. Yeah, hopefully you get to see them next time they roll by.
Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for. I think even one time we were at a festival, and somebody we wanted to. I think I opted to see the Black Dahlia Murder over them at a festival once, and like I'm always like, oh man,
damn,
I can't do this to myself.
No, Black Dahlia also legendary. I've always loved seeing. Anytime I've seen them, just amazing performance for sure.
We've seen them so many times.
That's
me too.
The band we've seen the most. We've seen them 8 times.
Damn, you know what? It might be the most for me too.
They
tour with everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
They put out a new album every 2 years, and they consistently tour on a great package where it's like, oh shit, I agree. There's 4 bands that I want to see.
Yeah,
we got the pleasure of seeing them recently, you know, post Trevor, and absolutely killer show.
Damn.
There's you know, obviously
a lot of Trevor chants broke out too. It was awesome.
Oh man.
Obviously he's missed, but the product has not gone down at all. That's still
good to hear.
Just as incredible. So
hell yeah. I haven't had a chance to see them like lately. So that's good to hear. I would love to see them next time they roll by.
Definitely. We'll kind of start winding it down just because we know it's getting late, and we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Yeah, totally.
So if you know somebody comes to you who's open to listening to heavy music, what are some things you would throw their way to be like, hey, if you like any of these, you're probably gonna like heavy music. Maybe like 3 or 4 artists or songs or albums,
Ooh.
whatever you would
Yeah.
recommend?
Man, that's a fun question to think about. Okay, let's see. I'd probably have to pick kind of a different range of things just to like throw their way to get a feel.
Yeah, so it's funny because there's two different paths of thought. There's always the person that like you that wants to diverse it, and then there's somebody. We've had a few that are just like, we're throwing them into the deep end. We're giving them 4 fucking bangers.
Okay,
see if they can
sink or swim.
Yeah, okay, some underground brutality.
Yeah. So there's two different lanes of thinking about this.
That's oh man, that's fascinating. Okay. I would I'll pick 4. Let's see. So I'll start them off with something probably from the 80s, and I'm gonna pick like my favorite thrash album is Sepultura's Beneath the Remains. I love that album to death. You know, it's not everyone's first choice with thrash, but there's something about that album for me. Like I love Max Cavalera, like him in Sepultura and of course in Soulfly.
Yeah.
Huge influence on me. But yeah, I'd pick Beneath the Remains. And then I'll kind of fast forward a little bit to early 90s. I'll pick like one of my favorite death metal albums in Dismember, Like an Ever Flowing Stream.
Yep. Oh man,
amazing album. Probably in my top, or definitely in my top 5 death metal albums. So we're going in the progression here, but then we're gonna take the new metal dive. We're gonna go with Slipknot self-titled. We'll fast forward to 99. So that'll be a third, and then a fourth. I think I gotta go with like something maybe weird and underground, just to like give them a taste of like, oh, you can do that in metal. Let's see. It's probably gonna be, man. It's gonna be a bit of a left field choice because I could have picked their early 90s album, but I'm gonna go with Cynic Traced in Air.
Okay.
I love that album, and it's a unique piece in their discography. Obviously I do love Focus more as an album, but Traced in Air is like it's got this weird catchy vibe to it, like front to back, and I think people could latch onto it if it actually might be a bit of a gateway album, like to soften them up into like something that's more progressive and melodic in a different way than like the melodic parts in like Slipknot. But yeah, I'd go with those 4.
Those are great
I like
choices.
The choice. It's diverse.
I like it. Like the Dismember because like I don't know, like one of the things that got me to pick up a guitar for whatever reason is an HM2 pedal. I was like, I'm gonna buy one of those pedals.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play guitar, but I'm gonna buy a pedal and figure it out.
It's a fun ass pedal.
That album, in my opinion, is just like the best HM2 sound that you could find.
I agree.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, I need to buy this. I need to figure this out. So
hell yeah.
Shout out to Dismember.
And it's funny that you say that, and it kind of like kicked up some memories of mine. I had a death metal project prior to Memorrhage from 2016 to early 2022 called Salomoth, and it's heavily Dismember and like atheist, kind of cynic, not as techie or progressive as them, but it's in there a little bit. But yeah, Salomoth, HM2 fueled death metal for sure.
I just wrote that down. I'm definitely gonna check that out because
hell yeah. Okay, you'll get a kick out of it because you can almost hear the progression of how my death metal vocals sounded in we'll say like the last album I did. It's called Stasis Cocoon. How they changed from that texture to the Slipknot, to the Corey Taylor sounding vocals and Memorrhage. There's almost like a lineage that you can track from Salomoth.
Shit.
You see the morphing of the voices.
Morphing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Super cool. The last thing that we will leave you with is how does metal get you high?
Ooh, man. In all kinds of ways.
Yes,
man. I would say like it gives me no other feeling than any other music. Like I love all kinds of music, but metal in general, like it gets me like amped up. I whenever like I said, I'm working from home, so it's a lot of computer work. I have to listen to metal. Like for some reason, maybe most people might listen to something that's calm to help them do their stuff, but no, I have to listen to metal, and that gets me going with my daily work. Yeah.
Okay.
So it just like does something in my brain.
Hey, I'm with you because I'm at work. The first thing that happens when I'm through the door is I've got my earphones in.
Yeah.
I'm listening to metal. So that's I feel you. I'm right there with you.
Hell yeah.
100%.
Well, real quick, I don't want to throw you on the spot, but if by any chance do you have maybe a couple, just because half the year's passed, do you have a couple of maybe albums or EPs that you'd like to shout out that you think have been awesome this year?
Yeah. Okay, so I would say my two favorite like full lengths so far, this band called Graphic Nature. They released an album, man, I think it was in like February, and they're like new metal. Yeah, they're another new metal band. I think they're from the UK. And they came out with a full length, their debut full length. I'm pretty sure it was February, and it's really good. They kind of touch on the Slipknot vibes a little bit, but vocally it's more of a higher pitched hardcore shout.
Okay.
But it's musically, it's really good. It ties those vibes. And then another newer like heavy album that I really really love is this band Soul Keeper.
Soul Keeper. Okay.
Yeah, all one word. And I think their album came out in, I want to say May, so it's pretty new as well. And it's like kind of mathcore-ish. It touches a bit on the Vane FM kind of vibe, maybe a bit more technical, but just as intense. So like I would say like those are like two big recommendations lately.
Okay. Nice. I appreciate those. Those are two that I haven't heard, and I'm definitely going to check out because
hell yeah,
I'm in a new metal zone lately myself.
Hell yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'll just drop. Obviously, I don't have like an order, but Memorrhage is definitely going to be on the list at the end of the year. But
oh man, hell yeah, thanks.
The five that I want to shout out is Spinebreaker. They're a death metal band from the Bay Area. The lead singer of Tsunami, Joseph, is the bassist in this band.
That new Tsunami was good too. I like that one.
Oh my god, it was fucking ridiculous.
Ramon actually went to the record release show. So.
Ooh, I bet that was intense. Nice. Oh, that's sick. Damn, that's a good hat.
It is a good hat.
That's sick. It's clean. I love that.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna say this album came out early in the year, and I still listen to it once a week, so I know it's an album I love. That's the Sanguisugabog Homicidal Ecstasy album.
Okay, yeah. I need to revisit it. I did like it. I did jam it. Early, it was early in the year. I will have to put it back on though, for sure.
It's just the drumming on that album is just like it doesn't.
Their drummer's insane, man.
Yeah, we're gonna see them this month, towards the end of the month, so I can't wait for that.
I'm watching them back-to-back nights.
Dang, okay, that's gonna be pretty sick.
I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
The other three that I'll touch on, one is I don't have the album names because I didn't come prepared, but Esophagus is the band. The most disgusting, brutal death metal album I've listened to.
I haven't heard that. Okay.
The new term that I like to throw with brutal death metal is like, man, I want to blast this on a 91 Civic with some 10s in it.
Oh shit. Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay.
Just shaking the mirrors and shit.
I gotta check that out.
The next one's Cruelty, Untopia, Japanese hardcore band, death metal too.
Damn, okay.
Can't wait to see them. They're going to be opening one of the openers for Sanguisugabog, and they're coming all the way from Japan. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the last one I got is a another death metal album. It's a long one. It's like a 73-minute album, but the band is called Parallax Occlusion.
Man, I've seen the artwork for that. I've been meaning to I'm gonna jam that this week. Yeah, okay.
That one's one of my favorites
Hell
so
yeah,
far
okay.
this year. So those are just 5 more shout out. No order or anything.
Yeah.
But you know, it's late in the year, just trying to shape the list a little.
Yeah, man, we're already halfway through. It's crazy.
Right? Ramon, do you have a couple of albums before we head out?
I do. Matt, so there's this death metal EP by the band Cthulhu, and it's called Cosmic Horrors Beyond Human Comprehension.
Oh shit.
And I fucking love it.
I gotta check that out.
It's everything that I love. A little bit of doom in there. Nice. But it's like it's a great tempo death metal, like a mid-tempo death metal that I can vibe with that behind.
Especially the cosmic horror theme.
Yeah. I've got to shout out Cattle Decapitation for Terrasite. Although it is one of my least favorite album covers, it is a banger fucking album. This is a good album. I'm not gonna lie, it's a fucking banger album.
A band that doesn't miss.
Right.
They don't miss. You can't miss. They can't miss.
Yeah.
Let's see. Al said "Sang Me Sugabug." I'm gonna skip them.
Fair enough.
I've got to go with Bonginator. Bonginator right here.
Oh man, I still need to check them out.
Everybody check out Bonginator.
I've seen the name float around.
Tattooed on me. Who knows?
Damn,
we'll see. but the album is the Intergalactic Gorbong of Deathpot.
That's cool shit.
It is. It's one of my favorite albums.
I think what's funny about that album is the guy. I think his name's Eric. I could be wrong. He put out
his name's Eric.
He put out the album and the first thing I saw
on the podcast.
The first thing I saw on the track listing was there was a song called 420 Pound Poop. I'm like, I don't know what that's about, but I gotta hear it. I need to hear it.
Oh man, yeah. I gotta check that one out. I've seen their name float around and I was like, man, that is a cool ass name. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I will be checking it out this week.
They went kind of viral for they made this piece of merch. It was a pink hoodie.
Ooh, okay.
In the back it said XXX break edge.
Okay, I did see that. I didn't know that it was that was theirs. Okay. Yeah,
that's theirs.
That's hilarious.
Shit. Let's see. Another band that I'm gonna be shouting out is Nervo Chaos. And I believe
I haven't heard them.
Yeah. I think the album came out in maybe April, and maybe March or April. The album's called Chthonic Wrath. Mm-hmm. It's a great fucking album. I'm a huge.
What was the band again?
Nervo Chaos. Nervo. It's CHAOS. All one word.
Okay, I haven't heard of them. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out too.
Yeah, check it out. They're great. And the last one I'm going to be shouting out is this Australian brutal death metal band called Burial Chamber. And they have an album called Symbolic Flesh Entombment. And I heard that the other day while I was at the gym, and it fucking got me through. I was like, this is it right here. This is one of them.
That's a good sign. Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. So those are my 5 I'm going to be giving out.
Badass. Okay.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Garry, for joining us. When we post this, we're going to put the links to your project because more people need to listen to it because it's truly one of the best albums of the year. So thank you for making that as a person who misses the old Slipknot. I was like, I get my shot that I needed.
Yeah, gotta get it out to people who miss and crave the sound. For sure.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty, well that's it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. You too, brother. Man.